following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everybody. This is Rob Deininger with Comfortably Zoned Radio, and I'm here with Jack Degraw, and we are talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you today, Robert?
I'm doing good. The Yankees started a two-game series with the Mets last night and dropped the first game, but I wanted to talk to you about the London series to start off, and what did you think of the Yankees and Red Sox in London?
Well, I mean, the Yankees just, the ball is flying out of the park. It definitely wasn't a pitcher's series. I think a lot of the pitchers were having trouble with the mound. Just watching Tanaka, he seemed to be like, he didn't seem to have his normal motion, and I think one of the reasons, CeCe didn't pitch in that series in Paxton because they were worried about, how they would respond to the mound. But they pounded the ball all weekend, both teams. I mean, it was incredible to watch.
Yeah, when Porcello gave up those 6 runs in the top of the first, I was all right, but then Tanaka gave up 6 runs right back, and you could tell both pitchers, they were having problems getting the ball over the plate, and they were leaving pitches hanging.
Yeah, I think they did a good job on the field, but I think with the pitching mound and the way the pitchers are finicky anyway. Yeah. And you throw off their routine a little bit, and there were 6-run innings, there was 9-run innings, no lead was safe. So I think I hope they don't go over to London for a long time.
Yeah. The good news, though, is that they did take two from Boston and increased their lead to 10 games over the Boston Red Sox. And right now the Yankees are 5.5 up on Tampa, who's in second, but the Red Sox, they're 10 out, and they're fighting. They're I think a game and a half out of the second wild card position, but there's 2 or 3 teams ahead of them for that second wild card team. So now they really got to fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't count them out yet, Robert. I know they've had a lot of pitching problems, and the thing I read is when Eovaldi comes back, he's going to be their reliever. He's going to be their closer. So, they're definitely having some pitching problems up there in Boston. Yeah,
right now the A's are tied with the A's got the second wild card spot, and the Rangers, and I think the Athletics are tied with the Indians for that second wild card spot with Oakland, and the Rangers are half game out. So the Rangers, Oakland, and Cleveland are ahead of Boston right now. But yeah, Boston, I expect them to be right there at the end.
Yeah, the A's got a good team, the Rangers, and the surprising team is the Twins this year. So
yeah,
there's better teams in the American League than I thought when the year started. So the race is going to be interesting.
And we did lose Stanton last week, and we lost Voit this past weekend. Do you think that's going to impact us going forward in the month?
Well, everybody else has seen the step in. The Yankees have so much depth. I wouldn't want to lose Voit for too long of a time. I don't believe he'll be out for too long. As we talked before, Robert, I think Stanton is going to be out till August. And the other injury updates, Montgomery, I haven't heard anything about him. They might shut him down for the year. Severino is supposed to pitch in 3 or 4 days off, and Betances, I think he'll come back at some point. And another thing, Ben Heller, the big reliever the Yankees got, he's down in AAA, so he should be up soon. I know he had Tommy John surgery, so he should be with the Yankees soon.
And Domingo Germán, he should be back with the club this week sometime?
He's pitching tonight.
Ah, good.
Yeah, he got off the injured list today, so he'll be throwing tonight against the Mets. And
were you surprised that they called up Tauchman instead of Frazier to replace Stanton, or do you think that was a smart move with going with a defensive player?
Well, I believe I think right now it looks like they might trade Frazier. I mean, I thought maybe Tauchman would just go over to London And now that they're back in the States, they would bring up Frazier. But it just seems now that maybe, Frazier's part of a trade coming up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought maybe they're punishing him a little bit for not talking to the media, not showing up to AAA right away. But I think it might be more of them just looking to package him in a deal for a pitcher.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. That's what it looks like now.
Yeah, and if the Yankees, I mean, if they continue to play the way they're playing and are able to add a starter, I mean, there's a good chance they could run away with this division with the way it's looking right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a great position. It's going to be interesting to see these 4 games down here in Tampa. How they're on, but. I just hope they get a pitcher, not a name pitcher, not somebody who's been good last year or 5 years ago. Get somebody who's pitching good now. Get somebody who can help your team win now. And, I'm sure Cashman will do that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, because right now everything's sort of quiet on the trade rumors, but that usually means Cashman's working the phones. I'm sure he's going to acquire someone at this trade deadline.
Yeah, I think they'll get a couple pitchers. That's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, do you think they'll go after someone for the bullpen as well?
Yeah, because it doesn't look like, I think they were counting on Betances, you don't know. And like I mentioned before, Ben Heller will be back. And I think Montgomery's done for the year. And Severino, you really don't know. I'd be surprised if Severino comes back. So I think they're going to get a couple pitchers.
Yeah. And I bring up his name every time we talk, and that's DJ LeMahieu. I mean, this guy, he really is the machine, which his teammates call him. I mean, this guy has been really impressive in his first year with Pinstripes.
I know. I mean, I love the way, he hits. I mean, he battles the pitcher. He doesn't swing at bad pitches, and he hits the ball all over the field. I mean, he uses the whole field. He's really something to watch. I mean, it's, I knew he was a good hitter, but now that you see him in New York and you get a chance to watch him all the time, you realize what a terrific player he is.
Yeah, I mean, the infield they'll shift everyone over to the left and he'll hit it to the right. In the outfield they'll play him to hit the other way and he'll pull the ball out in the outfield. I mean, he is impressive to watch at the plate. You're right, he battles.
Yeah, I mean, what a great acquisition that was. And he can play all over. Like, he could play first base, second, third base. He didn't play much third base before this season. He didn't play a lot of first base, and you put him there, and he does a terrific job. So, he's been the MVP so far.
Yeah, and that brings up. I mean, do you offer him an extension? What do you do with Andujar at third base going into next year? I mean, it brings up a lot of good problems to have for the Yankees going into next year.
I think I would offer him an extension.
Yeah,
he's still young, and he can play all over, and he's an excellent hitter. And I still think the Yankees have questions about Andujar's defense.
Yeah,
and there was even talk of moving Andujar to first. I think now you could probably use Andujar to acquire a pitcher.
Yeah.
So that's another possibility.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be a very interesting time for the Yankees coming up to this trade deadline. It'd be really, really interesting to see what Cashman pulls off. Yeah,
they got a lot of trade chips. There's a lot of guys in the minors, so the Yankees are loaded with talent in the minors. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and we were talking off the air that yesterday was the beginning of the international signing period, and the Yankees spent $5 million of their $5.4 on an outfielder, 16-year-old hitting outfielder, and his name escapes me, but that's 90% of their signing pool money, and this kid is highly rated. I mean, people are calling him a stud at 16 years old.
His name is Jason Dominguez. They call him the Martian because he's out of this world.
Yeah. And I've seen a small little video clip of him, and he does. I mean, he's a big boy for a 16-year-old, and the signs are promising. I mean, he could be a good player down the line, hopefully.
Yeah, well, their talk, I don't know if he'll come to the instructional league in September, but he'll probably be down here, next year in spring training. And, he's got a lot of pressure on him. They're saying he's another Mickey Mantle. He's another Mike Trout. So there's not a lot of pressure on the kid stepping in. But, it'll be interesting to see. We got to give him like 3 or 4 years, but it's certainly something to be excited about.
Yeah, one scout said he's the best the best player he's seen on the international circuit in his career. So, I mean, scouts are raving about the kid. So hopefully Yankees found themselves a nice diamond for the future.
Yeah, and I heard they also they signed this young pitcher, a 16-year-old too, and they're high on him. And there's another outfielder the Yankees signed in the draft that they also like that kid. So there's a lot of talent in other countries. That's where all the talent's coming from.
And that pitcher we've been talking about the last couple of shows, Garcia, I think his name is. Have you heard any updates about him?
No, I haven't heard anything. I heard Rothschild had some nice things to say about him. He said he was very high on him, and there's been, they're saying the kid's not that big, so he might go to the bullpen. But as of now, Rothschild said he can be a starter, and we might see him sometime next year. I'm sure he'll be around in spring training to get a look at him.
Yeah. And Chance Adams, he's helped us in the bullpen this year. What kind of future do you see for him? Because I was high on him, but now I'm kind of wavering a little bit on how effective he might be coming out of the bullpen. Yeah,
I think now, I look at him more as a reliever.
Yeah.
And, they tried to make him a starter, 4 pitches, and he can't seem to develop he's having trouble with the 3rd and 4th pitch. So, you put him in the bullpen, you could go with the fastball and the breaking ball. But I think now the Yankees are just, a little disappointed in his progress.
And I was asking you about Herman, and I see he's starting tonight against the Mets.
Yeah, well, like I say, Robert, as we've been talking, you don't know how many more innings he has to go. I mean, right now, if he pitches regularly, sometime in late August and early September, he's going to reach his quota. But I'm sure they're going to go out and get more pitching. They have to.
Yeah, because they got a 4-game series with Tampa Bay following the Mets tonight, and then we go into the All-Star break, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so these 4 games could be huge for Tampa. I mean, if the Yankees take 3 out of 4, they'll increase their lead over them.
Well, Tampa's got a tough team, and I don't take them for granted. I think they're going to be a playoff team because they always seem to put a good product on the field down here in Tampa, even though nobody goes and watches them. But on a side note, the last 2 nights, they've drawn over 40,000 fans because the Rays are selling $2 tickets.
Oh, no kidding. $2 tickets? Wow.
Yeah. So they've drawn 20,000 fans over the last 2 nights against the Orioles, which is a good thing to do. I mean, people love baseball, but they can't afford to go to the game. So hopefully you get some kids there, you get some senior citizens going, and, maybe they can get some people to watch an outstanding team in the Rays.
Yeah, I mean, as far as taking your family to a ball game, I mean, it's easily you spend a few $100s. I mean, easily. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember going. You go to the game, you pay for gas, you get a ticket, and you'd go to McDonald's, and you could get a soda at the game. It would cost you maybe $20-$25, and you could do it all the time. Now you can't do it at all.
Yeah, I mean, in the 90s, I could hop on a train with a few friends, go to the Yankee Stadium, and the bleacher seats are free. Unless it was a big game toward the end of the season and it was sold out, then you had to pay a few bucks to get in the bleachers. But otherwise, it was free. to sit in the bleachers.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of good times just having a good time at the ball game.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of times, we'd go, and my friend Ricky and me would go. We'd get in for $15. He'd go park the car for $5. He'd drop me off outside the stadium. I'd run over to McDonald's. You bring the food in the stadium. There was no problem. That was good times, and we did that, 15, 18 times a year. Now it's like people can't afford to go. It's just a shame. I mean, baseball
really
going to wake up because the average age of the fan now is 60 years old. And at this rate, the average age of the fan is going to be deceased because the people who love the game aren't going to be around anymore. So hopefully they can bring the younger crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember being at Yankee Stadium and the bleachers. When we were in the bathroom, we brought our own bottle to drink, and we were smoking in the bathroom. And a security guard came in, and he said, "You can't be doing that. That's illegal." And he took our bottle away. He didn't care if we were smoking. They just wanted to make sure we were buying our liquor from the Yankees.
You know what? What's funny, Robert? I was reminiscing with a friend last week, and on April 28th, 1968, I went to see the Yankees and the Tigers play a doubleheader. And in the first game, Mickey Mantle hit a double to left center field, and then the next guy got a single, and the Yankees won the game 2-1. So on YouTube now, I found the other day, they were playing the game, on the radio broadcast. Yeah. And Jerry Coleman was doing the game for the Yankees. And throughout the game, the scooter was doing it, and throughout the games, you could hear cherry bombs going off in the stadium. So Coleman is going like you hear a big bang, and then Coleman says, "You kids, watch when you throw those cherry bombs. It could hit somebody in the eye, so be careful." And the next pitch is low for ball 2. But I mean, it wasn't like, it just matter of factly.
Yeah.
Now you'd have the SWAT team there. You'd have security. They would close the stadium. The people would be searched going out. It'd be like a big deal. And just then, it's like, matter of factly, don't throw it by the people. You might knock their eyes out.
Yeah. That made me remember Phil Rizzuto. I think it was when Tom Seaver was in the booth too. I think Tom Seaver might have been in the booth, but someone laid down a bunt, and Phil Rizzuto, instead of saying "holy cow," said "holy shit," and the booth went silent for about 30 long seconds. But I remember watching that game on WPIX. It was an afternoon game, but it was just funny how he said it. It was just slipped out, and the whole booth went quiet for about 30 seconds on TV. It was funny as anything.
The scooter was great. I remember when him and Bill White were doing a game, and they come on, and the scooter goes, "Hello, everybody. I'm Bill White."
Yeah. I mean, and Phil Rizzuto was legendary for getting a cup of coffee at the 7th inning stretch and never returning, right?
Yeah. I remember I think he asked Bill White if he wanted a cup of coffee. He was going out to get one after the 6th inning, and he just went home. Yeah. And the next day when he went back in the booth, he brought Whitey's coffee.
And I used to love listening to Phil Rizzuto. I mean, that one comment he made, but the one again when Fred McGriff hit a home run against us, as soon as McGriff hit it, he didn't say "holy cow," he just said, "Oh, that's gone." I mean, and McGriff crushed it. I mean, it was one of those shots in the upper deck. But I mean, he was a pleasure to listen to.
And you know what was funny, Ralph? Ralph. You know what was funny, Robert, is when in the 1968 game against the Tigers, Mantle hit a long fly ball to left field, and the scooter was doing the game in 68. He goes, "That ball is gone. That's a home run from Mickey." Wait a minute. No, check that. It bounced going into the stands. So he did that his whole career.
Oh, man. And speaking of announcers, John Sterling, he missed the game last night, right? The first one in 30 years, John Sterling?
From what I understand, Robert, he's not going to do the games down here. When the Yankees play the Rays. I know he's been sick, but I thought he was going to do the Met games, and he's going to miss the 4 games down here. And I'll tell you a story what I remember about John Sterling. The Yankees used to be on WHN in the late 60s. And in 1971, the Yankees went to WMCA. And John Sterling hosted one of the first talk shows in the New York area. And I remember people calling in like 73, 74, and they were bitching about Greg Nettles.
Really?
Yeah. They say, we got to get rid of Nettles. This guy can't field. I don't know what the Yankees see in him. We should get Buddy Bell. So, So, before Nettles had his great years, and he had a lot of them, he went through some down times in New York, too. So, New York's a tough place to play.
Greg Nettles is my mom's favorite player of all time. And Tommy Lasorda, I think, said he won the World Series for the Yankees with those 3 plays he made, and I forget what inning it was. But he had a big inning defensively against the Dodgers in that World Series, right?
I believe it was 77 or 78. The Dodgers had won the first 2 games, and then Guidry pitched the 3rd game, and the Yanks won 5-1. And Nettles saved like 5 runs that game. He made 3 of the best plays at third base you ever want to see. So he turned the series around. And he was a clutch hitter, too. I mean, he wasn't only a power hitter. When you had a guy on second and you needed a run knocked in, Nettles would go the other way. He'd shorten up his swing. So he was a winning player.
And did Greg Nettles come up with the Cleveland Indians?
I think he started with the Twins.
Okay.
I believe he was with the Twins. He didn't play a lot. I think Billy Martin was the third base coach then. And he went from Minnesota, he went to Cleveland, then he went to the Yankees, and then he went to San Diego, and I believe with San Diego he got in the World Series.
Yeah, I remember him finishing up his career with San Diego.
Yeah, I believe they played the Tigers, and that's when Kirk Gibson hit the big home run off Goose Gossage.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That was a while ago. I'm getting old.
84.
Yeah. Is Gibson in the Hall of Fame?
No. Not Kirk Gibson. Bob Gibson sure is, but
yeah, because he was a clutch hitter. Kirk Gibson. He was a hell of a player.
Well, he brought the football mentality to the big league baseball because he was a defensive back, I believe, at Michigan State, and he brought that every day to the baseball field. He was a hard-nosed, aggressive player, and he had a knack of getting clutch hits. He did it with the Tigers. And later career, he did it with the Dodgers. Who can forget the famous home run he hit off Eckersley? Yeah,
on one leg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Tigers team. I mean, they had Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell, and didn't Jack Morris pitch for them that year?
Yeah, Jack Morris was on the team, and Hernandez was a reliever, and they had a heck of a team. They started out 35-5.
Wow.
So there wasn't much of a chance to, they didn't give anybody else much of a chance. And that's when the Yankees, had Yogi as a manager. And, Steinbrenner fired Yogi 15, 16 games. And the next season, and I remember Mattingly, he overturned the garbage. He was all upset. The players were all upset. And Yogi didn't come back to the stadium for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, Yogi was a wealth of baseball knowledge. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, well, George lost it a lot during the 1980s. Yeah. It was a tough time to be a Yankee fan.
Yeah. And getting back to these group of players. Gary Sanchez is having a heck of a year driving in runs. He's got 23 home runs, 54 RBIs, and Gleyber Torres is having a great year himself. I mean, he's got 19 or 48 with a nice lifeline to go with it.
I mean, what two guys? Look at all the guys they have just to build the team with. I mean, they should be good for years, Robert. I mean, not only these guys tremendously talented, they're young and they're going to get better. So, it's fun being a Yankee fan.
It's like Clint Frazier. I mean, he's only played, I think, 53 games for the Yankees, and he's still sixth on the team in home runs. So, I mean, if they do trade him, whoever does acquire him is going to get a really good offensive player.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, he's earned the shot to be in the big leagues. I can understand him being upset, and, we'll find out in the next month, what they're going to do. Are they going to trade him? If they keep him, I think it's because, they're looking for him to take over for Brett Gardner next year. So, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff in baseball that, the fans don't know about. So, and that's one.
Yeah, Clint Frazier, he's struggled a little bit since returning to AAA. I think it was a little bit of a gut punch to him, because I think he even believes he does belong in the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to prove down there. You can work on your defense, but you can work on your defense in before games in the major leagues. So I'm not surprised he's in a slump, but he's a big leaguer. Because
I was surprised when they did I only thought they were going to bring Talkman up for the London series, and then maybe bring Clint Frazier back up, because right now Aaron Hicks and Brett Gardner, I mean, they're both batting under 230 and struggling to get it going on a consistent level. I'm waiting for them to break out, or at least for Hicks to break out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have two of your starting outfielders, not hitting.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a big hole in the lineup now. Stanton's been gone most of the season, but, now you lose Voit. And not only is he an excellent hitter, he has an eye at the plate. He gets on base all the time. So, they really need these guys to step up and do it right now.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, Hicks is batting .220 in 36 games with 40 strikeouts, and Gardner's only batting .236. So we kind of need those guys to get going to get on base for the other guys in the lineup.
Yeah, I think this might be the last year with Brett Gardner with the Yankees. And Hicks, I don't know, I think missing all that time in spring training is, he started from scratch, and I think he really missed, getting those 60, 70 at-bats in spring training.
Yeah. I know Hicks is one of Cashman's favorites, too.
Well, I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. He's got a terrific arm. He's an excellent outfielder. He hit from both sides of the plate when he hits. So, we'll have to see how that pans out.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge he's slowly starting to get going, and once he does, this offense could be even a little bit better than it has been. Yeah,
they should have no trouble scoring runs. I wondered, coming back from London, that would concern me. Those 6 games really concern me, the jet lag. And I think if Major League Baseball goes over to London, they should have the games over there and then the All-Star break. Give these teams, some time off when they come back.
True, because you brought that up before they went over there, that the jet lag could be an issue. And last night, I mean, they snapped their consecutive home run streak at 31 games. They looked a little tired last night.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of travel, and there's a lot of hoopla when you're over there in London. It's not like you're resting up, you're checking out the city, and you got a lot of obligations, and with the fans and the media. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and 90% of it's off the field.
Yeah, I mean both those games were over 4 hours, and the Yankees had to, pack up and fly home, and they barely got a day off before they had to play the Mets yesterday.
Yeah, and the Mets series is usually a big series. When the Yankees and the Mets interleague play, you could take it. I could take it or leave it. But when the Yankees play the Mets, you get the Cubs and the White Sox, the Angels, Dodgers. I mean, that's sort of, that's fun.
Yeah, and you could tell the Mets when they won last night, they were excited that they beat the Yankees. I mean, so it's a big series for the players too.
Yeah, and the Mets got to get something going because they've had they had the 50th anniversary over the weekend, and they said two of the players were dead, and they weren't.
That's right. Oh my God, yeah.
So I mean, let's give a shout out to Jim Gosker and Jesse Hudson, who were pronounced deceased and got better. So. And even with the Tom Seaver way, I mean, that's something they should have done 10 or 15 years ago. I mean, Seaver was a great pitcher, one of the best of all times. And, the Mets were, now that he can't enjoy it, it's just a shame that should have been done years ago.
Oh, absolutely. My old high school coach, Freddie Kemp, he was drafted in the same draft as Tom Seaver in 1969, I think it was. And,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, and my coach, Mr. Kemp, spent 4 years in the Oakland A's minor league system before knee problems and shoulder problems ended his career. But he said the biggest highlight of his career was playing an inter-squad game and getting Reggie Jackson to pop up.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Yeah. But Tom Seaver, you're right. I mean, they should have done that years ago. I mean, he was huge for the Mets organization.
Well, one of the things I remember, I mean, I used to watch a lot of the games. The Yankees were on Channel 11, the Mets were on Channel 9, and then after the game, the Mets would have Kiner's Corner, and Seaver would come on, and listen to him talk about pitching was just. I wonder if they got any of the on YouTube, because Seaver, listen to him talk about pitching was like, how we would set hitters up. It was like, it was an education. It was just great to listen to him because every pitch, there was a thought process behind it. I mean, he was one of the greatest pitchers ever, Tom Seaver.
Yeah. And my father's friend used to go garbage hunting on Friday nights back years ago. And he found a 1969 autograph ball from the New York Mets. And the woman was throwing away her husband's stuff because he had passed away, and he knocked on her door to tell her that you're getting rid of a valuable object, and she told him you can keep it, and he has it to this day, an autographed ball from the '69 Mets with Nolan Ryan and I think Tom Seaver on it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
boy, that's a great piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, and I almost forgot Nolan Ryan was on the Mets in 1969. I mean, he was around a long time.
Yeah, the Mets had a great team. They had Koosman and A.G. and Cleon Jones and Kranepool, Boswell, Clendenin, Jerry Grody, and boy, what a great time for the city.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mets won, the Jets won, the Knicks won, and they haven't done a damn thing since.
Yeah. That's like the Mets, for as bad as their season's going, they're still only 6 games out of the wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, you don't give it up yet. I think the Phillies have been a little of a disappointment, and the Braves they're turning up a little bit. So the Mets are still in the race, and I hope they get hot and make it interesting for the fans of New York.
Yeah, because that one rookie they got, what's his name, Peter Alonso? I'm surprised we haven't heard more about him, the kind of season he's having. He's breaking Mets records.
I mean, he's playing terrific. And Robert, he's from down here in Tampa. I think he played at Plant or Alonzo, which is only maybe 10 miles from where I am. So, the people down here are going crazy over him. With good reason.
Yeah. So what do you expect from the Yankees this week? You expect to put a little bit more distance between them and Tampa coming up?
I just hope they at least get a split, Robert, because I think that trip took a lot out of them. And, I was hoping the 6 games, they'd go 3-3 because I'm still concerned about that trip. And, you don't want to go down here to Tampa and lose 3 out of 4 because then the Rays are right back in it.
Yeah, because they got Happ and Tanaka going in game 1 and 2, but in game 3 and 4 they got to face Snell and Morton, which is 2 of their best pitchers. So, I mean, it'd be nice if we can come out with a split.
Yeah, and they play the Yankees tough down here. So, Morton's been great this year. Snell has struggled a little, but Morton's been terrific.
Yeah, and Snell, I mean, he's coming off a Cy Young season.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees beat him up in New York. They got 6 runs in I think in a third of an inning. So, he's looking to get back on track against them.
Yeah, and right now, like I said, we were 5.5 games up on them. It'd be nice to go into All-Star break, at least 5.5 up, and maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, they were the Rays were only a half a game out, and then they come to New York, and the Yankees got hot, and they opened up some ground between them. But you don't want the Rays to get any closer.
Yeah, and Yankees they're 8-2 in their last 10, and Tampa's 6-4.
Yeah,
but
so
like you said, this trip might have taken something out of the Yankees, though. Like you were saying, that the jet lag could be an issue going forward, at least for the next couple of games.
Well, one of the concerns, Rodney, even though the Yankees were playing great baseball, the Rays were still playing well. The Red Sox were still playing well. And, I mean, in 78, when the Yankees were like 13, 14 games behind the Red Sox, the Yankees were still playing good. The Red Sox are just playing, out of their minds. So, if the Yankees come down to earth a little bit, those teams could, get right back in the race.
Yeah, the second half of the season should be a good one. Should be a fun one to watch. I would like to. Yeah, I would like to see the Yankees at least get at least one starter and maybe someone for the bullpen to help out in the back end.
Well, I'm sure that'll be happening soon.
Yeah, because I mean they've been using Green a lot to open games, and he's I think he'd be more beneficial coming out of the bullpen later on in the game than starting him.
Yeah, they've been going with Green and Cortez, who's done a nice job too.
Yeah,
but I think you want a starting pitcher.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see, and we'll talk this time next week after the All-Star break.
Yeah, looking forward to, Robert. I hope they have a good series again. Final game against the Mets, and hope the American League wins the All-Star game.
Yeah, that'd be nice. All right, Jack. It was nice talking to you.
It's always good to talk to you, Robert.
All right. Enjoy your 4th of July, and all you out there as well.
You too, Robert, and everybody out there. Happy 4th of July.
Yeah. All right, Jack. Until next time.
Yep. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.